Hello everyone, let's get started. This will be a very intimate session. I see there are a lot of people here. It's surprising. We should see more people coming in to learn how to do good presentations, because this is one of the biggest problems we see today, is that we do presentations in so many ways in our life, and unfortunately about 98% of those presentations are bad, really bad. This is a study that has been done 3 years in a row, and it's not improving, it's actually getting worse. So we'll see how after today, hopefully you guys will be able to create better presentations and enjoy presenting. This is the whole point of it. It's not like, gosh, I have to do this presentation, where do I start? And be scared. And they say that, what is that? That people are more scared from public speaking than being dead? That's not true. Nobody wants to be dead. I don't think. Oh, let me see. I can probably speak without it, but starting to pick up now. So what is the problem with presentations? Anyone? Yes?
The presenter looks at the screen and reads verbatim what's on it.
True. That is one of the worst problems. What other problems do you know about presenting?
The presenter doesn't talk to the audience.
Yes? Talks to himself or his lecture. That's good. Anything else? Read the screens. Boring, of course. I was boring. That was funny because I was just washing my hands in the washroom coming here, and someone was even sleeping in the restrooms, or snoring. So that must have been a really boring presentation to run away to the restroom. Yeah, that was really. Hopefully it was not one of ours. It was maybe a maintenance person cleaning and taking a break. But anyways, there are many problems with presenting today. And we'll see some of them, see how to fix them, and hopefully make you a good presenter, or at least enjoy when you have to stand up and present to someone. Many times we start by blaming PowerPoint. You've heard this phrase, dead by PowerPoint, so many times that people say, wow, did Microsoft screw up something there? They put a product that is supposed to generate those bad presentations, and people look bad and they cannot show their real thoughts and story if they use PowerPoint. They have to use maybe some other tool that is better than PowerPoint. What do you think? Is it PowerPoint, really?
No. Probably the bullets.
It's not PowerPoint. It's the problem that so many people think that their presentation is PowerPoint. That's where they start. That is the very first step. They go and say, you know what? I need to create a presentation. Boom, let's start PowerPoint and create a presentation. That's how it works. What do you think is the right way to start and create a presentation? Outline your story. What is it? Take a break. Go out, don't take if you have to take a pen and paper, sketch it out, or have it, have the story and the passion in your head, in your heart. And then it's very easy to create a PowerPoint out of your story. When you have the whole thing, when you have something really emotional to say to people, that's when you can create a good presentation. If you just start with your PowerPoint, you're nowhere. You're basically creating a boring tool that, yeah, you know what, why should I even stand up here? I can email with a presentation, you guys view it, and you'll be good. Why do I waste all of your time? So let's start and look at the common problems of presenting and the phases of getting people really killed. This is not Microsoft versus Apple here, all right? I mean, Steve Jobs passed away last week, so he was one of the most amazing presenters. Has anyone seen Steve in live presenting? I've had only once a chance to see this guy. It was a huge room. I wasn't even close to him. But you know what? He had this audience there for more than 60 minutes watching at the guy, and everyone was like full attention pains, like their jaws are dropped and watching every word that he has to say. It was amazing. I've never seen anyone draw so much attention and such focus from people. And it's not only his personality, it's the way he presents to people, the way and his passion. When he talks about any product, it's not like, you know what, I just want to market and sell a product. It's more like, this is my toy. This is something that is so cool that I'm the first one that want to play with it. I don't want you to get my toy. You know? He's just amazing. But to the point of, can you see the differences here between two people presenting? See, what are the problems in the Mr. Gates presentation? He has tons of bullets and stuff that everyone has to read. People get lost. They say, wow. I mean, I read this and basically get bored. Look at Steve's presentation. He just has the most essential information, a picture there. A picture and only 2 words. It is so clean and easy for everyone to grasp and pay attention to my story. They don't have to read the bullet points and basically divide their attention between, should I listen to this guy? Should I read there? What is next? Oh, maybe I should write down what is in those bullet points. They might not have this presentation for me, right? Here's another one. What is the problem here? There are no bullet points. It's crazy. You put so much stuff on there that you cannot even grasp what is the really important point that you want to make with this slide. Yeah, there are many things in the basket, but which one do I pick? Which one do I concentrate on? Versus pointing only 1 or 2 essential things. Something that your brain can easily grab and say, hey, you know what? This is something that I should remember. This is what you're trying to tell me here. I don't care about all of the rest. This is a good example. It's a Microsoft conference, but not pointing at Bill Gates. Actually, amazingly, has anyone seen some of the recent presentations of Bill Gates? What do you think?
Well, I just am focused on he's a visionary, so that's kind of like when I pull out from the seminar as a presenter, very flat, of course.
He has improved by a huge margin. Yeah. I was surprised recently. If you like to see good presentations, go to TED Talks. I will show you the website at the end. You will see some amazing people, amazing presentations. And I'm really glad that Bill is one of the people that is being praised about some of the best presentations. He recently had one of the presentations that he made. It was so visual. He was away from his slides. He had no bullet points. And he was basically grabbing the attention of everyone. People couldn't even believe, is this really Bill Gates or someone else? It was amazing. It's not the guy that you see on the slides here. This is a very old slide. So it's like amazing how he changed. He became a much better presenter. And maybe he had professional help to get there. It doesn't matter. He did it. Now let's start with, why do we even care about making better presentation? Anyone? All those people. Because, true, but what is really a presentation? Is it just me sitting here and spending like 70 minutes with you? Yes, but everything in life is presentation. What is it when you go home, you're tired, you worked all day, and you have to go and see your kids? Do you go and you walk in and say, kids, stay away. I want to go to bed. Sometimes. Yes, or do you go and put up a presentation for them? You smile, you walk in, you go and hug them. You want to go to bed, really. You hungry, just want to eat, go to bed, and you don't care about anything else. You had a bad day, 12 hours with some customer. But you go and smile, you hug them, you spend the next hour playing with those kids and having fun. That is a presentation. I mean, it comes from your heart, but you defeat your initial feelings of, I don't even want to deal with this. I want to be just myself, be selfish, going. Presentation is, you know, who are some of the best presenters that I have seen that don't have any PowerPoint slides? Comedians. They're presenters. They stand up and they spend like an hour, sometimes 2 hours with you, entertaining you. And they're presenters. This is a presentation. They prepared, they practiced, and it's not something that, I mean, some of them may come up in the second with something funny, but most of the time, those folks really spend a lot of time to prepare their presentation for you. And they're presenters without slides. So it's amazing how many forms of presentations we have out there. It's not only, hey, we're sitting in the room and we have to watch a presentation. Anything is a presentation. It's like, even if you have to do a sales report for your small department, it is a presentation. You don't need a projector. It's anything that works. I will even tell you a story. My first real presentation that I count as presentation was a very bad accident, an accidental presentation. I had a partner, a very sharp guy. We were bidding to win a huge contract at former company. And after months of negotiating, one day they call us and say, you know what, tomorrow morning, 7:30 sharp, we want you guys, 2 VPs will be there, and we'll decide if we want to take you on this project. That was something big for us. I mean, we're a small company, taking a $2 million project was something huge for us. It was interesting stuff. We spent a lot of time with my partner preparing a presentation and all the stuff, and he was much more, I guess, bolder than me, and said, I will take the presentation, you don't worry about it, you just help me get the points. And he created all the PowerPoint and whatever it had to be. And I said, all right, I'll be just the support guy. I'll go and if anyone has questions, and I'll sit behind you and try to help. So the morning comes, and I'm there 7 o'clock, half an hour earlier, sharp, and seeing all those nice suits. And our meeting was actually across Mr. Ford's office, Bill Ford, and it was a little bit intimidating for small guys like us, talking with the big guns. So I'm sitting there and waiting for my partner. 50 minutes later, he's not showing up. So it's 5 minutes through a meeting, he doesn't even show up. I start calling, and I don't even get to anything. I get to a voicemail. And about a minute before the meeting, I get a call from him. He wasn't able even to talk to me. He had a very good party last night that he stayed pretty much until the morning. He was drunk when he was talking to me. He was a very sharp guy. It's just like he picked the right moment to go and party all night, just before our presentation. And he just said, sorry man, I can't show up, and I don't have my presentation. I don't even have his PowerPoint slides. So what do you do? What do you think is the right way to handle this? I didn't know any better. I figured out if I don't walk into that room, we lost the contract. If I walk in, it's yes or no. We may lose it again, we may win it. So I figured out I'll just walk in and see what happens. I didn't explain to those folks the technical difficulties that we had that night. But I was sitting in that room with folks, and they're all expecting that I will bring a laptop and show a presentation and stuff like this. I had nothing. So the only thing that I remember was last day that we did all the discussions, and they had something like a chartboard. I just started walking them through whatever we did last time, but writing on the board. And the same thoughts, the same discussions we had with my partner, I just said, I'll do whatever it takes. And surprisingly, all those folks started discussing with me. And instead of just bumping me out, they started discussing all those little problems that I discussed with my partner, trying to figure out how we will solve that problem. And I was surprised that folks at that level will get really engaged, and all of a sudden they're even suggesting things that we couldn't decide the day before. So we ended up with winning the contract, and we spent like 7 years working on that contract. It was a huge win for us, but it was amazing experience of sometimes you have to present out of nowhere, and I wasn't prepared that day, truly. I just took the chances of walking in. I figured out it's a no anyways. If I walk out, just walk in and see what happens.
What happened when you talked?
We split parts after a few years later, but he got into that habit a little bit more often than needed. So, and I couldn't handle this. So don't be careful with your partners. He was a sharp guy. So this is why we care about presentations. Because you don't know when you have to present. There's so many ways of presentation in life that it's basically essentially all around us. You're not only coming to a conference and looking at a presentation. That's what is important. So let's look at very quickly. This is boring part, so I just want to skip it quickly. But I want to show you the different phases of what happens when you have the boring presentation. The very first phase is you get people looking at this and saying, they try to read the slides. They get to the first 2 bullet points and they start figuring, what is this about? I mean, yeah, I probably know this better and it's so boring. It's first they start questioning of why they even sit in the room. Maybe I walked into a wrong session. Maybe something happened in case of past. The next session is when they start realizing it gets boring. This gets bad. This is where people start distracted. They don't pay attention to anything. They just sit there. Maybe some of them nod and say, hey, you know what, it's about time for a nap. Still early for a nap. Now, the worst part starts getting when they start misbehaving. They figure out that, you know what, I have so many other things to do. I may go on Twitter and do something. I might check my email. So they look for anything else that they can do in the room, but spend any minute listening to your presentation or being engaged in the presentation. And why not really have them excited being present in the room? Because that's really the point. Have sure that you don't have some bodies sitting in the room. Make sure that you have people that really want to engage, have some passion, and when they walk out, they remember something. Or they walk out and say they have questions about something. You just stir something with these people. It's not like, yeah, you know what, we spend time, we walk out, and we forget about it. So before I get to a demo of before and after, I just wanted to show you the... we're looking here more at the technical side of, hey, here's how we can follow our story and create a presentation. And I'll show some of the good and bad things. But what else have you seen that drives bad presentations? Any bad Yes. I probably have done those in the past. Maybe I do them now. Yes, that would be very irritating. Stand in front of, I cannot read bullet point 3. You want to move this way? Why is? Do you know why? Yes.
The voice is low.
Too low. Yeah, that can put you to sleep. That pretty much is good.
Okay, but each and every sentence.
Okay. That would do.
No passion on what he's going to present.
Yeah, I was speaking with the same voice all the time and saying the same things. That would be cool.
They don't understand the audience. It's either too high or too level for the audience. Level.
That's a very good one. If you don't read the audience, sometimes you have to walk with them. You know what? You're not like the drill sergeant and say, you know what? You guys listen. We're here to do this. You know, those folks are here with their own agenda. And sometimes you have to walk your way with them. Even if you have to change your presentation.
Awkward silence when they're keeping stuff. So presentation fast or slower, or they're doing something up there trying to figure something out, and everybody's waiting on them, and the awkward silence is full, the entire audience starts to come after them. And kind of
Yeah, this is true. Although silence, a very brief silence is good. Because this is one of the tools to bring someone's attention. If you just pause for a moment, not having noise is good. Then you can start a new thought, start a new section of your presentation. One of the worst things that I hate is basically sitting behind the lectern. Have folks sitting right there and they read their paper or whatever they brought in, and it's like one big report. It gets so boring. I mean, you're in front of people, stand up and talk to them. Why do you hide there behind the lectern? I mean, you don't have to look like a model or something to show up. You just have to be close to people, entertain. This is the whole point. You're not reading a report. Yeah, there are many irritating parts. One of the things that I personally dislike a lot, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, is that a lot of conferences like PASS force you to use slide templates. This is one of the worst things. I mean, I understand that some companies, they want to put their logo there. They want to make the point of, hey, you know what? You're here because we brought you to this conference. We made it happen. And I realized that, yes, you have to pay respect to these folks and maybe put a slide, the first slide and the last slide, so they still see that, hey, this is the past conference. But why have and waste so much space on my slides to have this thing on top and that at the bottom? You know, do you want to really read that here's the presentation title and the page number on each, or have that picture on the top? You don't even know what it takes to create a good presentation when you have this. And you'll see a little bit later in the slides. You probably see it here. Not so much. You see it on some of the. Here's one slide that was really irritating. Man, it's boring, slow. Here's one slide that. How do you put a picture, full-blown picture on this? I had to blend it to make it really not look ugly here. You know, blend and make this whiting at the end, and it just made it. It's horrible. I hate it. It just makes you work so much harder to try and make any slide that looks good that you just say, you know what, guys? I will send you one presentation for approval, and I'll do something else when I walk in this bit. Yeah, that will be the last time you speak at PASS. Probably. I'll show a few examples. This is more on the how you make and present information via slides. And if I can find my examples, would be great. Oops. How did this happen? Okay, this is not PowerPoint, it's a PDF file, because the slides actually all credit goes to a great guy by name Gar Reynolds. Anyone heard about Gar Reynolds? He's an amazing presenter, an amazing teacher, most of all. And I'll show some of his works later on. I emailed him asking permission to show some of the slides that he gathered over years, trying to demonstrate good and bad examples. And I've seen myself, I'll show some of my old slides that are bad, but he has a much better examples. So here are some examples of before and after. Before is a slide that was created just starting with PowerPoint, without a thought in mind, without any idea of how I want to convey this information to you. And the last one is, just make this some room. And the next one is the slide the way it's supposed to be. So now if you look this here, what is the problem with the before slide? Yes, can you read anything? It's like amazing. What do I want really to tell with the first slide? It's like you look at the information and you don't even know what it represents. Look at the after slide. It's so clear. I mean, you have, with two colors, you demonstrate very clearly your point here. It's so simple. Very similar concept. I mean, why do people try to put all the facts on their slides? Because many people think that, you know what, those slides are supposed to be everything. They're supposed to be my reminder as a presenter when I stand up that I don't forget to tell you something. And they're supposed to be something that you take away so you can read it. How many people go back and read those slides when they get from conferences? I don't think anyone does. I mean, for that purpose, normally what people do is they would prepare a second set, which is slides with notes. And this is the one that you can distribute to everyone. If they want to get all of those notes behind each slide, go ahead and do it. Because this way, you retain all of the information. But you have to make only the important point. So here are more examples. What is the problem with this one? The before. Yes, it's like some tiny little picture that is so out of place. And you see the second one? You blow up the picture in full screen. This is one of the really great tricks of how to make exceptional slides. When you have a picture that has to tell a message, blow it up. Make it the whole slide. Don't be scared. Even sometimes, if the picture is like really too big, and when you blow it up, it still hides the context, trim it, crop it, and get the point up in front of everyone. This is when it matters. And the other thing is text. It should be very clearly readable. If you have any code or anything that you really want people to get their attention to, make it simple. Make it easy to read. This is another thing that they force you a lot at those conferences. For example, for this conference, we're supposed to have the only font that we can use, I don't even remember, but it was an ugly font, okay? So we had to use that font. Last year was Arial. I mean, who reads that? It's boring for your eyes. Yeah. That's a good one, huh? If you want to send a message, don't put text. A picture is worth 1,000 words. You know, they don't say it for... it is a study that it was done that if you retain about 90% of the information that you see visually, that is being a picture. The textual information you don't retain at all. The worst one is bullet points. The study suggests that people remember only the first and last bullet point at most. Nobody can remember a long list of bullet points. Then why put them on the screen? What is the whole point? Any questions so far? Yes?
How do you deliver bad news?
Bad?
Make it interesting, but still be appropriate. Like if you're delivering accident data or environmental spills.
I would make it with a big picture. You want to, normally when you deliver bad news, the point is, do you really want to hide behind and try to make it smaller than it is, or you really want to blow it out to the proportions it is and set it straight to people? Because if you want to send a message, and I'll show some of the presentation that actually relates to this, delivering bad news about the drought in the earth. It's one of the really good presentations. It's called Water. You really have to show it up. You know, bad news is bad news. You have to deliver it. Why make it less bad than it is? You walk around it, do you think people will accept this? It might be more acceptable for you, for your own confidence, but it doesn't really matter. You have to stand it up. I would go with a picture without too many words. Just make sure that you pick the right message. Show it up so when people see it, they know. I mean, they will feel it internally without even you speaking and presenting this. That can avoid a lot of you talking there. So. I've been through, probably in the past 4 years, I started getting more interested about what are the good presenters out there, how we can become a better one. Because I started more and more going to different events, and it was interesting observation. Initially more like just sitting on the seat and seeing some of the content. And I figured out after maybe going to 3 or 4 events that I'm getting picky. And I'm avoiding certain sessions, not because the content is not interesting to me, but because I've seen this presenter before, and I just didn't like the way the information was conveyed. I figured out, yeah, he has some very interesting things to say, but you know what? He's just plain boring there, and when I walk out, I don't even remember the stuff that he told me. And I figured out, you know what? Let's see if I can learn from some of the masters. And I spent a lot of time researching and trying to figure out what are the different points that can make you a better presenter, or how you can make a good presentation. And there's so many rules that I will give you at the end, like the whole list of information that if you really want to go and learn about all the different techniques about presenting, you can go and learn it. But there, I picked like 5 points that I find that they're kind of driving you to the point of making a great presentation. And they're different. For you, maybe a little bit different. You may do something else differently to make your presentations better. But each person is individual, and you have your own weaknesses and strong points. So you have to work it out. But this will be like a guideline of, hey, here are the main points. If you can nail this, you should get right on the point of having a presentation that will be speaking to people. Make sense? So let's start with a very, I'm starting from the bottom in terms of importance. Design. What do you think about design? How do you design your presentations? Any of you designers here?
Well, you'd want to have generally a colored theme or light. A lot of yours have dark backgrounds, so you want a consistency.
Yes.
You want to control the eye, what the eye movement, how the eye's tracking on the slide, especially with pictures and words.
Okay, that was good. You know, also something related to this is, do you know that people have learned how to do better presentations, how to present pictures from the movies? I didn't know this until I read a lot of the books and studies, that if you have a positive person, you want to send a positive message, do you know on which side you put the person of the slides? You want to put it on this side. So basically it's like walking into the slide. When you have something negative, they put it on the other side. It is related to the movies, the way they have all their characters presented. If a character is walking out of the scene, this is normally considered like the bad news or whatever happens. If someone is walking in, this is more like the welcome message. And it's very interesting how they relate to the movie industry. I didn't notice this in some of the movies. They do it on purpose. If you have like the hero walking into the room, he'll always walk from that side. I have no idea why it works, but it works on the human brain. You know, little tricks. With design, the point is that I'm sorry, someone in the back had a question.
Say Metro. More and more fans of Metro kind of do that very simple, like kitchen.
Yes. The design is, you don't really have to be a designer. I'm a bad designer myself. I've read a lot of books on design. I've tried to do design myself, and it doesn't come out. It doesn't come out right when I start to do it. I'm just not, there's some people that are very artsy. I mean, they have it in their heart. They pick up something and they can make a beautiful thing out of nothing. Design here relates to simply follow the very simple rules. Start with like a blank sheet. Don't try to put too much information. Think about what is the essential message that you want to add, and try to make it in terms of being visible only to that message. So here's one of the things that I have done. I think this is my slide from the past, so it's very ugly. But this is the way I've done design. I mean, I didn't know any better. I wanted to send information to people, and I thought that the best way would be put all the text, and basically everyone will be happy seeing how do I explain composite indexes. You know, it makes the point. If you don't know anything about indexes and I talk to you and I can show these points, you may understand this right now, but when you walk out of the room, would you remember? Probably not. And there's nothing catchy here that to stay in your head. Say, you know what? Next time when I think about indexes, how do I associate it with? Those 5 bullet points? They don't speak to me. But here's something that you can remember forever. If you want to explain indexes in this example, you just take the phone book. You know, this is the best example. I don't have to explain this to people. If I explain, you know what, if you have a composite index by last name and first name, it is exactly like the phone book. It's ordered by the last name. Within the same last name, we have all of these that have different first names also in order. This is what the index is. And now next time when you walk in and think about composite indexes, this is what comes in your mind, this picture. And I'm I'm not a good designer. I took this picture with my phone. Doesn't even take any special equipment to make this happen. This is all that it takes. I will show you just a couple examples of good slides, of good design. Again, they're all courtesy of Gar Reynolds. Okay. I will not go through all of them because there are quite a few, but just a few. The same concept, trying to make very clear picture with text. One of the things is using different fonts. Again, try to stay away from the standard fonts because they're boring. They don't grab your attention. They're not easy to read. Most of the fonts are not easy to read. It is an entire study of what type of fonts to use when you end up with this. But normally you shouldn't use the book style fonts, the serifs, because they really have all this. They're intended for reading. You don't want people to stay here and read. You want to send messages. You want to have like short phrases that they can see from a long distance. And one of the great examples that is used in presentations is how do they make those big signs on the freeway? Do they make them with the same fonts that they make your book? No, they make them with some fonts that are very easy to read from a long distance, and they send the message right away because you have only fractions of a second sometimes to see one of those signs, and you have to capture the information. You really don't have a choice when you're on the road. And again, here, one of the examples of using a full-blown picture. So you're basically not taking a little picture somewhere in the corner. I want to send a message here, and I do it right clear. You know, delivering bad news. Talk about putting something in that corner. It's bad news. And you, like you said, you put right there the message. It is something that we don't want to avoid. We want to straight point in the eyes and say, you know what, we have a problem. Something that we need to solve. I'll skip a few. And just to give you an idea of some creativity, you don't really have to be a great designer, again, to accomplish this. You can just work and, again, try to send straight the message. Skip through, and there are quite a few here, but they all pretty much look similar now, right? But this is not a typical PowerPoint presentation. How many of those you would see today? Explain query plans like this, huh? Think that will be challenging. But you know what? Making a presentation really takes time. It's not like, you know, I'll sit for 5 minutes, make a presentation, I'm ready for tomorrow to present it. A lot of these folks that you envy and see, you know, they're amazing presenters. It takes them like, I think last time I read about Steve Jobs' presentation, it took him about a month to create a presentation, and then he practiced his presentation every day for 10 hours. Can you say like 3 or 4 days practicing for 10 hours your presentation? But you know what, when he walks out on stage, he's perfect. He's prepared for whatever happens out there. Because when you play it for so many times, you run into problems. And you start working by intuition on how to solve those problems. So it's not like so easy. It's not, you know what, I'll slap a few slides and go and show off in front of so many people. Because what is really lost if I stay here and deliver a bad presentation, a boring one that everyone is asleep and stuff? Am I losing my 70 minutes? Or I'm losing however many people are times 70 minutes? Because I'm losing your time, right? It's not my time, it's forget it. But everyone else in the audience, I've lost their time as well. And that is more expensive than mine. So again, there are many ways to show your message. And you don't have to be a great designer. Now, if you really, really cannot do it, you can get professional help. One of the great examples is Al Gore. Al Gore is, have you seen any of his presentations about the Earth and stuff? They're amazing. Amazing, clear, and for Al Gore's presentation skills, they're way above his head. Why I'm saying this is, he sought professional help and he found one of the best companies. They created his whole presentation image. It costs money, but it's amazing the way he delivers the message now. When you watch that presentation, you just stay stunned. You get the point. You watch it once and you remember it. It stays with you. So just many examples of design. See, this one is very clear. It's very easy to understand when we talk, and if I put this in bullet points, you wouldn't get it. But with picture and just a few words and highlighting, don't be scared by blowing up your font. Like we had a restriction on our slides here. Our font cannot be more than 40 points, whatever it is. This is at least 90 points or more. So you want to send a message to people. You don't want to just put a bunch of text. So don't be scared. Use as big as it has to be if you have to highlight it. See how easy it is to read? I don't have to look at the slide. You guys get the message in a second. Oh, that's cool. Darth Vader method, where he starts with all the bullet points, and the Yoda method. He starts with the blank slide. Yes?
So you're taught to do all these things, and at the same time, like, have all these restrictions on the presentations we've been watching for the last 2 days. So, is it a different format, or in your opinion, or with the guidelines people are required to follow for the last couple of days as well?
That's a political question, huh? Well, the straight answer that I can tell you is that I told you in the beginning, I don't like it. I think it's wrong. I think there are a lot of creative people here, a lot of creative presenters that if they didn't have those restrictions, they would make a lot better presentation. That is my opinion. If they didn't have to follow those rules, they would be forced to think of how to send their message. And now many times is once you have this format, they even give you a sample slide with the bullet points. You just have to fill in your text in the bullet points, you know. It's a no-brainer. They tell you copy as many slides as you want and just put in the text. They set you up for failure or for basically making a bad presentation. So my opinion is they have to change it. And I already spoke with one person. I'll try to talk to more people at PASS. I'm not sure if that will happen, but at least if they give some flexibility to speakers, I believe this will be a great win for the community. Because a lot of folks here can show their stuff much, much better. Yeah, I know some folks break the rules, and that's very easy.
I've seen a few people work fairly well within the constraints, using images and things, but having them in the slide deck and not using so many bullet points, using more images that pop up in the slides, like balloon images for a character talking, something like that. Some people do better than others.
I know. Well, that's what I said. These are the best folks from the community around here, so they cannot be all following the rules of using bullet points, right?
But if you make your slides simple, then that slide will be useless after the presentation. Even though they download the slide, this is a kind of a technical presentation. Probably people cannot understand you while you're doing the presentation. Afterwards, they want to look at your presentation and then do the review. Let's say if your content is a pretty deep level, probably your audience want to get your slides and then review it afterwards. Then if you make it too simple, then that will become too useless.
Well, this is why I use your tool PowerPoint, which has a special section for notes. This is where you put all the textual information. And actually PowerPoint has this capability to print the slide and the notes side by side. And this is something that you take away if you want to read it later on. The tool has all of the options to do it right. It's just that people don't use it because, why should I put my comments and try to remember my message? It's much easier to put it there, and if I don't remember to tell you something, hey, you read it, guys. I mean, that's why you're here in the room, right? So it's, again, the problem is not with the tools. The problem is in us. We don't use them right. If we all put the messages and the notes, then when I give you the presentation, you have all of the notes in there. So like all my notes in my presentation, I'm not sure if because they said they will strip some of the information when it comes out. I think did they give you PDF only when you download, or you get the PowerPoint? PDF. All right. So I'm sorry, guys. They killed it. The only way, I guess, is to supplement with providing like in separate text. But normally, when we distribute like for other events, when we distribute presentations, we just shoot the whole presentation as a PDF, and it is as a PowerPoint, so it has all of your notes there. So the first point was design. Again, this is one of where you start with. Just try to send the message loud and clear. You don't want to hide behind words. You want to send it out and just make people aware the first second they see the slide. What do you want to talk about? What are your thoughts there? The second one, it somehow relates to design, but it's like the next step in the evolution. Simplicity. Like we saw on the slides from Bill Gates, sometimes you have so much information, so much clutter there, that it's extremely difficult to grasp of what do I need to concentrate on? What is the message that you're sending? And one example is like this sales report. What are the problems with this? Yeah,
It has to be the other way around from what we're used to. The arrow suggests an upward trend, but we always read left to right, so that suggests a downward trend. Right. And I don't know when this slide was presented. If this is a 2012 trend, the companies better get their arms moving soon.
Those are all good points. But this is a slide that probably my kids will do an arts project where they pick up all the different colors and they start coloring and just having fun exploring the different color schemas. And oh, why not slap like a 3D and some shadows because the tool has those capabilities? That's cool. You know what? This is like one of the first mistakes when you start with the good stuff. You have the information that you want to put in, and then all of a sudden you discover, you know what? This tool has such great things. I can make shadows, I can make 3D, and this is cool, you know what? And if we put like those metallic colors, everyone would love it. And you forget where you started with your message. You wanted to send a message, and you got lost into creating some fancy stuff. Why not just show the message? Keep it simple. You know, use 2 colors, make it sure that I want to send them a message of, here's my percentage of sales in US. That's what I really want to make a point here. I don't care about anything else. I want to make you aware that our sales are dropping in some other parts of the world. I'm showing a little bit extreme example of someone did of what would be.
The other thing that was important about your other slide is the part you were highlighting was the U.S. sales. It was in a different color. If you wanted to highlight that the UK was down so much, you would highlight that color.
Correct. You're pointing really the message. You want to use the color that differentiates and gets the point of everyone's eyes, really the only one that is different, rather than having all the different colors. Here's an example of there was someone who was joking, saying, "Hey, what would have been the outcome if Steve Jobs walked out on stage and showed this PowerPoint slide on the opening for the Mac Air book?"
Pretty boring.
Yes. Would you be excited to sit in the room and watch that guy, or you'd be just like, you know what, can I zoom in and see, what is the storage again? And how did he present that? Anyone has seen that? Here's what he did. He sent the message loud and clear. He didn't want to bug you down with, what is the hard drive of that thing? He just wanted to point, you know what, we created a device that fits in an envelope. That's it. This is the whole point. I just want to address your problem. You need that device so you can put it and walk around it, go to meetings, and it's not that heavy laptop that you're used to. It can be everywhere. It looks nice, and it's that cool size. That's what matters to people. Do they really care about hard drives? Hard drives change. 2 months down the road, there will be an upgrade. They will change the drives and all the other things. But those are things that you can, anyways, if you decide to buy one of those, you would go on the website and see them. But what you really want to send with the message is, we created a product that fits your needs. This is what you wanted. How did that happen? So simplicity is one of the key factors Now you see here, like this is the irritating part. When you have to show something like this and you have that graphic at the top and you say, is this part of the slide or not? It's not, unfortunately. Content. What is the problem with content that you have seen with presentations? Too much? Yes. Many times what happens is that whoever is presenting is not creating a presentation for you. It's about me. It's like, you know what, I'm the expert in that area, and I can talk here for like nuclear physics or whatever I want to talk. I don't even care about your interests at all. I just want to stand up in front of people and show off how good I am. I mean, I'm running the world. Nobody's better than me, so I want to, guys, teach you here. So you listen and spend the next hour with me. And what it should be. It should be like, it's all about the people sitting in the room. It's basically, you're in front of these people to drive their needs, stir a passion or do something. But it's all about those people. It's not about me here. I'm replaceable easy. You'll see next year. And someone tells them about that I dislike their slides. So we're getting towards the most important factor in presentation. But before we get there, here's one really key factor that people miss. Focus. What is it about? Anyone? Anyone knows what is the average span that people can pay attention to something? 7 seconds. If you're doing something, if you're tweeting or something, you lost on the 7 seconds. I think it's 9 seconds, the official statistics. If you really care about this, I would suggest reading a book by Dr. John Medina. Have you heard that name? John Medina, Brain Rules. It's a good kick. Even if you are not interested in reading the book, Google that name, go to his website, and he has a video and a lot of presentations. You'll be amazed.
What was the last name?
Medina. M-E-D-I-A-N-A. I'll spell it out for you if you want. I have it somewhere. John Medina. And the book is called Brain Rules. The guy is actually the leading researcher, at least in US for sure. I'm not sure if he's the leading researcher in the world in brains. And he has spent his entire life researching brains and different behaviors related to perception of information, how the brain learns, and all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how many myths that we know are not true. And he proved that. And in a very funny way. It's so entertaining that I gotta tell you, I wasn't intending to buy his book, but I saw his video and I bought the book next day. But according to this guy, the average span is about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, people lose their attention. So how do you solve the problem of delivering a long presentation? And some folks have to do like a full day, even 2 days. How would you handle this if we know for a fact that it's only 10 minutes? Yes?
Well, then you refocus. You have to bring something fresh or new in to bring it to focus. Start over again.
Yes. Give them breaks. You make breaks and you refocus again. So keep bringing people back with a different point. And if possible, make a distinction between these points. Don't make a presentation that just keeps running through slides through the end. Because people will get lost. They don't have time to catch up, to just refocus again and say, oh, here's a new topic. Let's think about it. This is one of the very key things that people don't consider. By the way, he discovered a lot of things like multitasking is a myth. Nobody can multitask. That is proven. That no matter how people, how smart they are or capable, multitasking is a myth. You cannot be typing a blog and listening to a presentation, or tweeting, or talking on the phone. It's proven fact. Like he proved also that certain brain nerves in the man's brain react on Jennifer Aniston's pictures. I'm not kidding. They wired the brain of a guy, and they showed him different pictures. There was no reaction until they saw the picture of Jennifer Aniston, and it just sparked electricity there. Like, amazing. I don't know. So our brain is a weird thing. One of the things that he discovered, and that is a great thing, is that we're sitting in the worst environment for presenting and learning. The worst environment is because you guys are sitting here. You're sitting for whatever, like 60 minutes or more. And the natural reaction of the body is, let's relax. You know, I'm sitting here, and the brain stops working when you're sitting in one place. And he proved that the most effective way is when the body is in motion. Unfortunately, for so many years, classrooms and everything else has been designed that you're sitting behind a desk or sitting on a chair or working all day. And according to his research, then the brain works about 40% of the real capacity of the brain. So imagine if you can make your environment more dynamic, you can learn, you can work much better. He was one of the first that suggested, you know, those desks where you have a treadmill and you work on your computer while you walk. Yeah, this is actually the true story, because they researched back to our ancestors, and they figured out that the average human back in the ages had to walk 12 miles a day to get their meat. That's how they retain their activity. That's how they function, and that's how they evolved. And now what happens is we start sitting more on the chairs, we actually go backwards, you know. So the evolution is going in the wrong direction right now. And here's the main point when you deliver a presentation. Have a story. Have something to tell people. It's not like, you know what, I decided today that I just want to teach you about good presentations, and I'll put a few things. But have a story. You know what, here's my personal story. I want to be a better presenter, and I want you to learn and become better presenters. And hopefully, it's not only you, but when you go back and help someone else, people, or they see one of your presentations on the next sales meeting or anywhere else, people will get infected and say, you know what, how did you do this? What did you do? How can I learn and be like you? And all this comes down to having something to tell people. Have like a little passion in you, saying, you know what, this is what really matters today, and if we're spending here 60 minutes, I really want to tell you guys that this is why I love you. I love doing this, and I want you to be excited and do the same. So not having a story is like wasting people's time. They walk in and they say, hey, you know what, we'll talk about indexes today, and we'll just say, how about if you start with, hey, here's the story. We had this, you basically give them a real story of what indexes are used. You had this database with performance. Start with the real issue or the real picture in mind. And then give them the details of, hey, we can use the indexes to solve this problem, and here's the technical side of it. But not just say, you know what, here's today we'll learn about indexes, and here's how we create an index, here's how we drop an index, here's how we maintain an index. It's pretty boring, plain. But when you have something to tell, like a story, is basically you bring them on a journey with you. That's when people get excited. That's when they walk out and say, hey, you know what, this is cool. I remember that, and I want to do it. And if all that doesn't work, what do? You don't present? Say, no, I can't do it? Oh, it better be cool. I had a better picture, but they cut it off, so they said it's not good. But that's good enough for today. You know, a lot of folks, they pull it off with just being cool. They may not have content, but they're the cool person, and I think it works once or twice. You get people to show just because of that person. But, you know, it happens to the same stuff, I guess, like Charlie Sheen. He was cool in the beginning because he was Charlie Sheen and stuff, but what happened afterwards? People don't want to show up to his shows because he had nothing to say. He kept spinning his wheels. I mean, I like him, like his acting, but this is a real story of not having a story to tell people. He was just trying to make a show out of his personality, not really of having something to tell people and entertain them. So here's just to go over these 5 points again. you will find that there are so many other things to do in presentations. And I'll give you on the next slide some of the resources if you really want to go and learn about how to create great presentations. This is the way to go. But again, I find that if you do a clean design with simplicity, you will drive the point much easier. This will make your life easier because you don't have to talk too much. You don't have to read slides. People will understand the minute they see a slide what do you want to discuss. Content matters because you really have to present it in a way that people will understand. And focus is one of the keys. Because you don't pay attention, you will lose the people in the room very easily. I mean, it's very unpleasant seeing people like their heads going down and nodding down, and they all of a sudden wake up for a minute. I had a friend who, when he presents and he sees people like this, he would just say, "Okay, now for all the sleeping people," and he will yell really loud, something crazy, and see those people jumping and running around. And last but not least is have a story to tell. Because that's when it becomes interesting, you know, that's when people really can relate to what you're trying to say. If you don't have a story, it's just like an empty box. Here's like, yeah, here's this presentation. We're done, guys. Have a great day, and I don't know, I'll see you next time, if you come again, if you remember me, and stuff like this. Before we move to the resources, any questions? Anything else?
Technical question. Is there any possibility of somehow opening another window within PowerPoint? One of the most annoying things this week to me has been, and you've done it too, is you stop the presentation and you have to go out and go to PDF, or you have to go out and go to Management Studio or something, and you do your stuff there, and then you go back to the presentation. And it always does something to the flow, and I think it's a restriction of PowerPoint, but I don't know of any other way to do that. I don't know whether you run across anything.
You can switch pretty quickly. I've done presentations where we had like 3 or 4 simultaneous laptops running, and there was a technical person that will flip pretty quickly the switch, so you basically go to another computer and.
There's nothing in PowerPoint that does that. It seems to me that the people
At least I'm not aware of this. If anyone knows here, I would be great to learn. But
I don't think I would want that. If there's a demo that opens up just inside the portion of the slide, they're hard enough to read like this.
One way is to create a video, and then you can embed the video, because many times, maybe having a video. I know folks like the live presentations. There is the that challenge of, hey, is it gonna break? Is it gonna blue screen here? You know, it's always interesting. But if you have it on video, you may save people's time of looking how well you can type or mistype, and basically just do a really nice and brief video that demonstrates the point. I think that many times is the winner, because again, nobody wants to see my typing skills, how quickly I can type, and yeah, if it breaks eventually. I was at a presentation last SQL Saturday where a guy was demonstrating something and his virtual machine crashed. So he actually had to rebuild a virtual machine during the presentation. So people spent like 30 minutes waiting how to rebuild a virtual machine. So we got to the point of seeing some demo at the end of the presentation, but I didn't want to spend 30 minutes watching how to rebuild a virtual machine. You know, that's not fun.
But there is I like that. If you would do like a video, then you lose another opportunity, because you might get a question from the audience that, well, which you actually could show with a simple, without making not a long query, but you could actually make a simple change in query. Okay, you get this message, this happens.
But then you can have it in the background, and if you get this question, you switch back and you do the live thing. But you're prepared to do the regular, wherever you wanted to show the regular demo first. Another way that I've seen is you can defer it to the end, but then you lose a little bit the interest. You can say, you know what, after a session we can do it and everyone can see.
I'm not sure, but you this is also this recording would actually pass that you do it with a presentation when we actually flip the video. I'm not really sure whether it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible to flip.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, then of course, if you're not constrained by video recording all that.
You can use stuff like Camtasia or turn your PowerPoint into thing about the video is you could replay it. It's one of the questions. You could replay it, back up, and do it again.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't.
Okay. Go ahead.
How do you, I guess, scan the room when you're so nervous of getting through your content? I guess when I'm speaking, I'll realize that, oh, it's been an hour and I haven't looked at anyone's face.
Well, this is one of the points. You have to engage with people, right? You have to speak to the people. If you just stare somewhere and talk, that's not a presentation. You're basically just lecturing something and you're losing them. I think you always have to connect to people. I mean, there are people that ask questions, or you try to force them to ask you questions. That's the whole point. But yeah, you always talk to them. Yes.
Do you have any comments on the benefits and the risks of using humor in a presentation?
I love it. If you have,
It's very awkward if presenters are trying very hard, but they're not being funny.
and that's a difficult situation. I would say use humor only when you know that you have the capabilities to deliver humor. There are certain people that they have it. I mean, they can make you laugh to death, and they know it. If you know that you're not the joke teller, don't even try it, because then it's not funny. Then you look silly there, and you get maybe one or two people just smile, and it's more like, yeah, we know a guy.
With the, the 9-minute rule of, or 9-second rule of keeping someone's attention, are you better off hitting them with the information at the very beginning and then doing the supporting information, or is it the other way around? Do you build a crescendo and then boom?
It is more like it is like a movie plot. One of the books, I'll tell you, this is why I wanted to point out the resources, just to tell you what they can help you with, but one of the really good methods is do it like a movie plot. You give them the catch in the beginning. Don't give them everything. You say, hey, here's something that I will show you today, so I can bring you attention, but no, I am not telling you everything now. Then you withdraw and you go into a little bit of mode where it's like a plateau where you deliver a certain piece of information, and then all of a sudden you bring in again a problem, or really like the point of, here's what I want to show you. And once you get to that point, you again go slow down, and then you try to do a finish with where you really drive the point of, here's what is most important today. So you kind of go up and down, like keep the intrigue. If you reveal everything in the beginning, people will catch it. If you get the good news and say, you know what, today we're releasing this new product and it has these features, and I'm done, at that point I basically sent my message out. There's nothing else I can tell these people. I can just sit here and waste time. Yes?
There's a great book called Resonate, a follow-up book called Slideology, I believe.
Nancy Duarte.
Yeah, the book is fantastic.
Yes.
It's exactly what you're talking about. It shows you so much of the ways and how you put your presentation. It's a phenomenal book.
Yes. This is why I wanted to spend a little bit of time to show these resources and to explain each one, just in case you guys are interested. And if you want to go back to resources, this is the place to go. I mean, I've read pretty much anything on the topic, and there are maybe a few others that make some sense, but these are the best. Before and After magazine is the design for dummies. I would call it like this. This is a very cheap digital magazine. You get like PDF publications. Those folks are the best. You know, they don't try to make it a science. They don't try to make it like you need an art degree to do a design. They just show the little things of how to make something look pretty in 2 or 3 simple steps. And they're all the way. They don't just tell you, you know what, it can happen if you do this. They just tell you the simple steps of 1, 2, 3, 4, done. You can subscribe or go online. I love it. It's one of the best resources for me because I'm not a good graphic designer, and when I need something, I go and just look up of how they did it. I do it the same way, and it works. Gar Reynolds. This is the guy who started this whole thing. This is his very first book, Presentation Zen. He lives in Tokyo right now. He's from Seattle, I believe. He does a lot of presentations. He's also related to Microsoft, Apple, works with many folks, but he's teaching presentations. He has 3 books. This is his very first book that actually has most of the essential stuff. He has another one on design, and he just had his last book published, which is The Naked Presenter. It is really driving the message of, hey, you know what, you don't need the slides to go out and send a presentation. It's basically, you can send a message much easier. Nancy Duarte, she is leading a company out of California. They're one of the best companies that create professional presentations. They created the Al Gore presentation. And for many other companies, they do a lot of the Adobe stuff. And anywhere you see out in the market some cool presentation, they must be involved in that. Nancy wrote also 3 or 4 books. I think I have 3 books from her. Amazing. She went to, again, a lot of these things that I told you about the movies. One of her books is especially talking about how can you make your presentation engaging and learning from the movie industry. She found that this is how it works. This is why when you go to a good movie, you stay there to the end. I mean, you love it. Or if you go to a bad movie, you walk out pretty easily. But she was trying to study of how do they keep these people busy for for a whole movie. And they found that there is a pattern. And if you apply the same pattern to your presentations, you have a winner. Edward Tufte, he's a guy that is one of the most amazing presenters in terms of showing off how to present numbers. Oh, cool. Bring it up. He has a few books, and if you go to TED Talks, this is the TED Talks website, you will see a lot of his presentations. You will be amazed of how this guy can deliver a very boring report that has like hundreds of numbers and make it entertaining for everyone. And he will make like small and big bubbles. He will use specific colors to highlight ideas. But he has a science of basically presenting information. So he's one of the best guys if you have to present any or visualize any numbers. You'll be amazed of how good he does it. A great resource is using stock photos. You know, one of the things that you normally first say, I can go and take pictures, and like I showed you, I did take a picture that works. But many times, you need a professional picture. And as bad as it sounds, you have to pay money. But it's not a lot of money, believe me. A lot of the pictures that I used in this slide, I took from iStock Photo, and I don't know how much they cost, like maybe $40 or so. But it's worth it. You pay the money, but you get a professional picture that actually drives your message. Because if you pick a bad picture, you can send people completely wrong direction. So sometimes it's worth it. It's a great site. There are many other sites out there. I find this to be kind of the one that is very good quality with not so expensive. So you may like something better, but find your favorite site where you can get some stock pictures if you want to deliver good presentations. And the last one is TED Talks. It is an amazing website. You will see some of the best brains in this world presenting there. Amazing stuff. I even subscribe and get all of their updates of any new talk that comes out. It is just amazing, the things. A lot of these folks that we're talking about, you will see them there speaking, and it is, if you want to learn, that is the place. This is some really cool stuff. Some very inspirational talks. Any other resources that someone knows here that? Okay, the John Medina's website. Check out his video. He has the video on the website. I believe it's on YouTube as well, but it is very entertaining with explaining how our brain works. It's amazing. And actually, he says, if you learn how your brain works, you can be a lot better everywhere, in your family, in your work, because you'll be able to understand how people think and predict certain reactions, because brains work the same way. And it's very interesting. And we have to go through the mandatory slides. So you have to complete the evaluation form. You will win the, do they still have those Dell Minimum netbooks? They have them, I bet. So you will win one. And thank you for being at PASS. I think it's a great conference. So thank you.